Impact Radio 102.1 FM. Good morning, Lagos. Good morning, Nigeria. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of the newspaper review, where we get on live stories that made front page in some of the dailies that we have with us today. Breaking news: the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as of this morning, just sacked the CEO of the NNPCL in person of Mele Kyari alongside the board of directors of the NNPCL. So that's fresh this morning, and of course, so many people already have opinions. With some saying, well, probably it is coming way too late, because some feel like for so long the NNPCL has not been delivering what is expected of them, and once that is happening, it is expected that whoever is in charge, be either called to order to do better, or if he can do better, probably step aside for someone who can do better. So I guess probably that is the case at which the president has used in sacking the person of Mele Kyari this morning. And that is how I welcome you to the newspaper review right here on our Impact Radio 102.1 FM. And as usual on the show, we always give you the platform to be a part of the conversation. And the only way for you to be a part of the conversation this morning is simple. It's either you're following us on all our social media handles, that is on X, FKA, Twitter, on Instagram, and on TikTok at iImpact 1021 FM, on Facebook at iImpact Radio 102.1 FM, that is HR Impact Radio 102.1 FM, and of course on YouTube. You could go subscribe to our YouTube channel, click on the notification button so you can get to know whenever we are live right here in the studio, and it is our Impact 102.1 FM. Remember, you can also call us up on 07044252109, or you can reach us via WhatsApp or your regular text message on 0907-224-5018. Okay, moving straight to the papers this morning. We will be starting with the Punch newspaper, and the Punch newspaper is leading with this one this morning. It says, recall Akpabio Ododo tackle Natasha over assassination claim. Underneath that one, you see a writer to that story. Suspended senator alleges ex-Kogi government not involved. Second writer says Kogi government Senate president dismissed claim. You find that story on page 2. This, like so many other things going on in Nigeria, is something that we don't think we're seeing the end of it anytime soon. And I say so because yesterday, when Senator Natasha arrived at her constituency, she was welcomed with a rousing applause. We saw lots of people gathered to welcome her, which is the case with each and every one politician in Nigeria. We know how these things go. But what is a bit different about this is the fact that, well, she alleged that there was an assassination attempt on her, which has been dismissed by the Kogi state government and as well as the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio. But one other thing too, Allegedly, there was supposed to be a ban on processions and rallies in Kogi State yesterday. Even the chairman of our constituent, our local government in particular, made a curfew. Okay, but it didn't stop the people from coming out. It didn't stop Senator Natasha from, having a huge home welcoming. And in her home welcoming, she also said no one can stop her from returning home. It's her home. She knows her fatherland, and she's there to celebrate Salah with her people. So it was huge. She still went on that night for an event, a TV recognition event, where she was also welcomed with a rousing applause. And it just goes to show that so much still goes on underneath the ground when it comes to this particular case. And of course, everyone is waiting to see what will happen with INEC. We all know a recall has been submitted to INEC, and earlier this week on Monday to be precise, we also heard on the news that there could be a referendum in 90 days concerning the recall. So there's so much more that could happen according to INEC on this particular issue. Or is this just going to be something that will die down and Senator Natasha will go back to the Senate to claim a democratically elected seat, which was, given to her by our constituents? But let's see how it goes. That one is one thing we're going to be talking about for a very, very long time to come. On the front page of the Punch newspaper, it's actually Natasha with a Mount crowd, stuck with her as she makes speeches and, talk to the people about what's going on with her. Underneath the huge image, we see insecurity. States vote 214 billion naira for arms. Others. Insecurity, states vote 214 billion naira for arms. Others. You find that story on page 39. Beside it, FG to fighting bother as NIS arrests 51 illegal immigrants. FG to tighten border as NIS arrests 51 illegal immigrants. That story you'll find on page 44 of the Punch newspaper this morning. Beside that one, I would have handled economy better than Tinubu. This one is according to the Labour Party candidate of 2023 election, Peter Obi. That story you see on page 4 of the Punch newspaper in case you want to read more about what he said. Above the nameplate of the Punch newspaper, reps indict Arch Commission over 90 billion naira subsidy. You find that story on page 7. Well, this story, in case you are not aware about this story, this one is coming from 2024, where we had a 90 billion commission which was being investigated, subsidy by the Arch Commission, which was being investigated. Now, as of yesterday, the ad hoc committee investigating it has indicted the Arch Commission for the 90 billion, which is missing in subsidy. We do hope justice takes its course. We do hope it doesn't just stop there at the Senate indicting the ad hoc committee. We want a situation where formal charges will be filed and get to the end of it. People who are involved in pushing money here and there, people who are involved one way or the other, be arrested, called to the book. Let's see justice served to people who are actually committing these huge crimes. 90 billion naira. 90 billion naira. That's no small fund. That's no small fund. We still saw on the news that insecurity where states, that is the 36 states of Nigeria, voting 214 billion naira for arms and other things just to help curb insecurity. And someone is stealing 90 billion, or a group of a few numbers of people are stealing 90 billion. Imagine what 90 billion can also do if it's voted into this insecurity thingy. What it can help solve, the amount of arms it can help provide for our security agencies. So it's really, really crazy when things like this happen. It's really, really crazy. And justice needs to be served. And it's the only way, when consequences of actions are seen, when consequences of actions are melted on those ones who perpetrate this crime, that is the only way the people can trust in the rule of law. The people can, trust in the security agencies and trust that the judiciary and the justice system are truly, truly making sure that they are the last hope of the common man. Moving on from that story, we move to this other one which we can find right here on the Punch newspaper. Exam fraud. UK Council probes 1,955 Nigerian nurses. Whew. Exam fraud. UK Council probes 1,955 Nigerian nurses. That is close to 2,000 nurses from Nigerian descent being probed in the UK for exam fraud, which is alarming, which is crazy. I want to believe there is probably some sort of mistake somewhere, or probably there was one bad egg, and because of maybe one or two bad eggs, it's affecting a huge number of people. Because I believe Nigerians are good at what they do when it comes to education, putting us in the right system. We always excel. I'm not saying that some people are not, partakers of exam fraud, but to a great extent in the Nigerian system, in the medical system, I tend to think the most people who go there to do their doings go there to do it diligently and learn thoroughly so as to come out on top at the end of the day. So yeah, a few bad eggs, but 1,955 Nigerian nurses. I think I don't believe in any aspect that all of them will be found guilty. Probably 1, 2, 3, 5 at most. I just have this faith in Nigerians that when it comes to these particular aspects of our life, we try to do our best and we try to, earn what we get. A few bad eggs, yes, definitely. They exist everywhere. So I hope those few bad eggs won't affect the thousands of good ones which we know exist as well. Beside that one, FG threatens to revoke dormant oil block licenses. You find that story on page 39 of the Punch newspaper this morning. And finally, besides the nameplate of the Punch newspaper, lynched travelers, tension in Edo as DSS arrest principal suspects. Tension in Edo as DSS arrest principal suspects. You find that story on page 2 of the Punch newspaper, and of course that story is one story which we'll be talking about for a while, and hopefully it gets resolved. Hopefully justice is is served to those ones who perpetrated the crime, and more hopefully an investigation be carried out, and things done to mitigate any reprisal attack, things done to prevent situations like this from happening ever again. And the only way to prevent situations like this from ever happening, is tightening security, is to put an end to insecurity, is to make sure that each society, each part of Nigeria, each community that exists in Nigeria feel a sense of security in the fact that they know for sure that nothing can go wrong in terms of security. Yeah, a few minor itches here and there might happen, but when I mean nothing can go wrong, I mean in terms of herders coming to farms to destroy crops and destroy products, in terms of farmers going to attack herders or going to attack cows, so many things. Boko Haram, ISWAP, kidnapping, too many things happening when it comes to the security sector of Nigeria. If Nigeria security agencies can curb this insecurity, we've been in Nigeria for years. We know how Nigeria was before insecurity started crippling in. So to a great extent, we could understand how peaceful Nigeria was. So if we can go back to that extent, if we can go back to that situation where security is top notch, Nigerians are safe in their communities, not displaced and found in different IDP camps here and there, then and only then can we curb situations like this from happening, because the tension is high in different states. In Amaoko local government in Enugu state, it was still reported in the news yesterday how communities have fled because herders have used schools as camps, have gone to their farms, have eaten their crops allegedly. So things like this needs to be curbed, because when situations like this keep arising, and the people keep talking and talking about it, and they seem to be like no one is listening, sometimes you can see people wanting to resort to, self-defense and saying they want to sort things on their own, which should never be done, because security belongs to the security agencies to handle. But sometimes, what do you expect when people feel like nothing is being done? When people feel like maybe no one is coming to their aid, maybe no one is listening to their cries, then you might have situations like this arise, which has to be prevented. So the only way to put an end to it is making sure that security goes back to what it used to be 10, 15, 20 years ago. Even though we used to complain then too, but it was never this worse. It was never this worse. And that's the much we can take for the punch. From the Punch newspaper straight to the Guardian this morning. Remember, you can always be a part of the conversation if you reach us on all our social media handles on X, FKA, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at iImpact1021FM, or if you call us up in the studio on 0704 425 2109, or reach us via WhatsApp and your regular text message on 0907 224 5018. We're streaming live on YouTube at the moment at iImpact 102.1 FM. That is HI Impact 102.1 FM. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, click the notification button so you can get to know whenever we are live right here in the studio. The Guardian newspaper is next, and it says Discos may take 11 years, 1.4 trillion naira to bridge 7.2 million metering gap. I take that one more time. Discos may take 11 years, 1.4 trillion naira to bridge 7.2 million metering gap. You find that story on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper, and the Guardian has a huge graphics right here talking about Nigeria's electricity metering crisis, and I'm going to be able to explain a bit of them for you. It says metering pace 576,161 meters takers, 13 years to meter 7.2 million customers. Did you get that? So it says, if we're looking at the pace, if we have 576,161 meters per year given to takers, it will take 13 years to meter 7.2 million customers. So imagine that numbers, huge numbers. Currently, we have 6.2 million customers already metered. That is 46.57%. Unmetered customers at 7.2 million. That's 53.43%. Total meters installed in 2024, 542,738, down from 609,585 in 2023. Huge details, so much money, so much huge numbers, the challenges, so many things right here on the Guardian newspaper in terms of graphics that will give you detailed explanation to the electricity crisis that we are currently facing in Nigeria, and of course the amount it has consumed. You need to go look at the Guardian front page for you to find out all of those details this morning. Underneath it, controversy over leaked tribunal judgment as Edo government, APC, PDP claim victory. The news you find on page 6, man, crazy. Leaked judgment before the judgment. Maybe it was April Fools. Let's just talk it under that. Let's just talk it under that one. Beside it, FG to withdraw oil blocks, charge IOCs to drill to or drop. I take that one more time, I beg your pardon. FG to withdraw oil blocks, charge IOCs to drill or drop. You find that story on page 4. Underneath it, Kano justifies Sanusi's reinstatement as monarch, pays Salah homage. You find story on page 30. Underneath that one, Nigeria's net FX reserves rose to $23 billion in December, says CBN. Beside it, Niger exits multinational joint task force. You find that story on page 30 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Oko, Don decry deplorable state of Nigeria varsities. That one you can find on page 5, and that story cannot be overemphasized. If you go to the Nigerian system, the university systems nowadays, let's try federal universities, for example, or state universities. Let's start from the hostels and the toilets, the bathrooms. Most of them I have seen, that I have been to, are in horrible states. Are we talking about classrooms? Are we talking about lecturers to students rate, the amount of lecturers to a student? There were some times, especially when I was having I was in school for my master's degree. There were some times I noticed that the lecturer started from 100 level students, moved to 200 level. I'm talking about a professor this time now, not just even maybe an ordinary lecturer 1 or lecturer 2 and all of that. Not even a senior lecturer, a professor starting from 100 level, 200 level, 300, moved to final year before coming to teach master students, and as of the time I was leaving class, she was heading to another class to teach PhD students, and this was about 8 p.m. in the night. Now imagine what kind of education will this woman actually give to these people at the PhD class. What kind did she give to those in the master's class? Superb, I won't lie, because she was authentic, she was doing good, but how many people can be that good? How many people will start their day from the beginning and continue to the end of the day to continue to lecture, to continue to give education? So it is really poor most of the times when these things happen, and it's crazy because it is affecting the output given to the students, and once this output given to the students are not good enough, it affects the outputs which they bring out to the society. And that's why you see sometimes some people graduate out of the university system and it seems like they're not even out of the university at all. Yes, sometimes it's their fault, but sometimes it's the school's fault because it does not have the standards to take care of the number of students at which it's admitting each year. Some students learn differently. Some students learn in small spaces. They can't even learn in huge numbers. And you go to some GST classes, GST 111, and you're seeing over 2,000 students. Some do not even make it through the windows. They're out at the windows. Some did not even bother coming because they know they will have no space to sit down. And when you even get to that kind of class, you realize the lecturer has no public address system. So tell me, how is that lecturer going to communicate with over 1,000, 2,000 people without public address system, with some hanging in the windows? How is that lecturer going to really deliver what he's meant to deliver? The only person who I know spoke to over 3,000, 5,000 people without public address system was in the Bible. I don't think that can work now, and people will really understand what the person is saying. So it's really important that we understand our education system needs to be fixed. Our education system is at a point that I don't think it can handle what is coming. It can't take us to where we are supposed to be. How many of our schools now are teaching AI? How many of our schools have even gotten into the computers generation yet? Go to the schools. How many of them are in the computer generation yet? More or less saying they're going to AI. So it's crazy, and we're in 2025. Our education system seems like it's in 2004 or something. Let's be honest with ourselves. I know what I learned in school, and I still go to some schools and I still see some students ask me some of those things I remember when I left school. And it's still in most of those people's courses. Let's trickle down to primary, secondary school. I taught in a primary school. I saw the things that were being taught. Goodness sake. I remember when I was in primary school, those were the things that was being taught. What's evolved? What's changed? How did we what have we evolved to, to the new system? It was just like the same old way I was being taught. It's just being repeated. Only people you find doing something different, probably the private schools. And what's the different thing they try to do? Maybe a few practicals. They include phonics, to say abu, these, and all of that. But yeah, they're all just sounding intelligent. But how many of them are actually intelligent? And which is what is lacking in our school system. From primary down to university system. It needs to be reformed. It needs to be fixed. It needs to meet today's education level. Man. Anyways, we'll keep talking and talking until the right things are done by the people in charge. Underneath the nameplate this morning, I feel depressed over Rivers emergency rule, says Fubara. You find that one on page 3. Beside it, Natasha returns in chopper, addresses supporters at Hihima. That's the you find on page 3. And finally, on the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning, Trump's third-term bid, bad omen for Africa, says Ozekome of our lawyers. You find that story on page 3. And yes, a real bad omen. I can understand what Ozekome is actually talking about, because imagine if the country at which most African countries is copying their democracy, because at least almost everyone is copying the United States democracy. Let's be honest. To the extent that the definition of democracy is what we use. It's the Abraham Lincoln's definition of democracy is what we use. Government by the people, for the people, and and all of that. So imagine that country now, and they decide there's a third term. Do you know how bold some African leaders will go in a democratic system? It was tried one time in Nigeria. Obasanjo tried a third time. It failed in the Senate. Imagine Trump getting a third term. Do you know how bold some African leaders will go?
Everybody will jump on the train. It will give them like they always say in Pidgin, they'll give them the liver.
They go chop liver sharp. So when Ozekome coming out to say it's bad omen, I understand fully from the angle at which he's speaking from. But hey, that's the much we can take for the Guardian this morning.
And moving on to the Daily Trust, this one made my eyes pop. Federal government borrows 13.21 trillion naira from World Bank in 20 months.
Real high popping.
I mean, this is I'll say that probably this is one of the reasons why, other foreign countries would be like, no more AIDS, no more. I mean, I know that every country borrows. But
I wanted to get to that.
Yes, every country borrows. I mean, they know that they can't do it alone, so they ask for aid, they ask for help. But sometimes the figures that I actually find in our country are quite alarming.
Yeah, well, it's for me, it's not even the figures that are alarming. To run a country, you need huge budgets.
True.
You need huge budgets to run a country. What's alarming is the fact that, does it ever get used for what's being borrowed for? It's the problem. Borrow as much as you can. As long as there's going to be return of investment of what you're borrowing, it's no big deal. If you borrow,
we see where it's actually going to.
Do you understand?
And the changes are being made.
If you're borrowing to say, okay, I want to borrow 10 trillion to fix into the education sector in hopes that in 3, 4, 5 years there's going to be a huge change, and in it's going to trickle down in 10, 15, 20 years in the education sector, and you put that 1 trillion or 10 trillion, whatever the amount, in the right path to make that work, you borrowed brilliantly. But a situation
that word is very borrowed brilliantly.
Yes, you did. But a situation when you borrow that certain amount and a measly 20 million is sent into the education system, use and chalk here. What do you people? It's not to build new toilets, pay those lecturers those their old salaries. That place, don't worry. Next government, next budget, we'll fix it in. And the rest of the money is taken, siphoned. You only borrowed for your pockets. And so that does not work. So borrow as much as you can borrow, but borrow to fix the right thing. There's no country in the world who doesn't borrow.
True.
None.
True.
Everybody borrows. But you need to actually tackle that particular thing at which you're borrowing so that you won't have to resort to borrowing and borrowing and borrowing for the same thing over and over and over again. And at the end of the day, our resources is what is used in paying those loans. And we didn't even feel what we borrowed our money for, because hey, the resources belongs to me and you. And so why did you borrow money and I didn't feel what you borrowed money for, and you're taking what belongs to me and paying back that loan?
True.
That's me being robbed.
Right.
Nothing more than that.
Right. This story is on pages 3 and 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper. 2 writers here. Fresh $1.1 billion loan approved in 1 week as debt profile hits 142 trillion naira. We also have multilateral loans vulnerable to corruption. And this one is according to experts. We have, some statistics right here below from the World Bank loans, 2023, 2024, and also 2025. You might just want to get a copy of the Daily Trust newspaper to see how each of them, are actually categorized. Then we have below the nameplate, Natasha defies ban. Natasha defies ban, lands at rally ground in Chopper. Natasha defies ban, lands at rally ground in Chopper. That one is on page 13. The story still continues. Page 13. Edo governorship, APC, PDP confident of victory as tribunal rules today. Quite interesting story. You should want to see.
We did see allegedly, as the case may be, pictures of the tribunal judgment yesterday. Imagine. But hey, I'll take it as April Fools. Let's just leave it like that.
Okay.
Let's just leave it like that. Let's not say nothing more than that.
Interesting. Let's continue. More stories here. Man absconds as wife gives birth to triplets.
Oof.
Okay. All right. That is not fine, to be honest, but
man, but we see these kind of things once in a while. You just hear news of a quadruplet being born, and the man jettisons the place and just runs off. And most times, what he's thinking of is, how can I handle this situation? How can I pay these bills? How can I sort all this? But it is what it is, and I always wonder most times that were there no signs? Maybe scans done, then I remember coming back to my reality.
Yeah, I mean, there might be scans done. It might be showing only
one. Yeah.
Sometimes the next time we're like, oh wait, I don't know.
It's more than one. I think these heads are popping up yet. But also I come back to the reality that not everybody can afford all of these things. That you can afford to go say auto scan. What do they call it?
Antenatal,
prenatal, and and all of that, and post and all that. That you can do all of that doesn't mean everyone can. And let's be honest, a huge number of our society cannot. If we have 130 million people living under poverty, it means to say a huge number of Nigerians cannot even afford to do scans and antenatals and all of that. So some of them are hit by surprises. They just go and you say quintuplets.
There's a time I saw that news, I was like,
and you see quintuplets and you're wondering, you're overwhelmed. And so hopefully the young man or the old man gets back to his family and stepped up the courage to take care of what needs to be done, because what has happened has happened. Now he needs to man up and do what he has to do.
More stories. Uromi killings. DSS has arrested 2 principal suspects. This is according to the Edo government. And that's a good one. The writers here. Kano government reiterates call for justice. Victims' right to freedom of movement violated. According to NHRC. This particular story is on page 5 of the Daily Trust newspaper. You might want to get a copy to just find out more details and other stories in it. And that is all we have.
Moving on from the Daily Trust straight to the Vanguard this morning. The Vanguard, which is the last paper of the day, leads with what we ended with, which is talking about the Uromi killings. And it says Uromi on lockdown by security operatives. Coming from another angle this morning. That story you find on page 5. It says police, military, plainclothes of security officers at strategic junctions. FCID takes over investigation. Residents angry with government over poor response to kidnappings, killings. Blame mob action on frustration caused by government's inaction. Fears of reprisals still high. Take decisive actions against jungle justice. Igbo community in Kano tells FG others. CSO ask FG to address rising wave of violence, insecurity. So many writers to that story, and so many you can use in every part of Nigeria, because if you check what that particular story, you can place it in different parts of Nigeria and it fits the bill. You can take this scenario and place it in Enugu State, it fits the bill. Place it in Imo State, it fits the bill. Ondo State, Osun State, and it's similar everywhere.
Right.
So the only way to curb and prevent issues like this from happening, just like I said before, is putting an end to insecurity nationwide. Once everybody in each community can feel secured without being scared of being kidnapped, without being scared of anything, can, see a herder and be sure that the herder is not coming to attack them or attack their crops and all of that.
What a reality to live in every single day.
Do you understand? Every single day. Every time we hear the same stories, and it now feels like a norm. You could just hear someone say, 2 communities ransacked in Benue State. But Benue, Lojojumo, come on. It's just like a normal thing now. IDP camps are built everywhere in Nigeria now. Some people have not gone back home in like 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. IDPs is now their new home. You saw the girl who's now famous, who is with Tunde Onokwoya, the chess. I call him a chess god. With all the things he's doing, that little girl has been in the IDP camp for years, since she was a child. That's where she knows. That's her home now. But she had a different home. Some of them might never get that chance. Probably she will take her family out of the IDP camps now because she's getting the opportunity to do so. But what about the thousands? What about the hundreds of thousands? What about the close to millions in the IDP camps? What holds their future? How can we say they can become a better part of the society if they're in the worst scenarios of the society at the moment? It's things like this that breed insurgencies, things like this that breed hate, because you see this person growing up feeling with hate that this life I'm living is because somebody so did this, and there's revenge at heart. It's things like this that cause a society where we have an uproar of people who tend to do negatives because they feel that's the only way they can survive. That's the only way they can make a way for themselves. And who are you to say they're wrong? if that's the only way they've been using to survive all their lives, as there's no opportunity abound them in those places? What's the education level in the IDP camps? So what opportunities can they grow to get? We're talking about people who education has not even been that good in the first place, and you displace them completely. We talk about millions of people in the north that are out of school children. And imagine this kind of situations. It's increasing by the numbers every single day. So if things like this are not curbed, if those people can't go back to the place they used to call home and call those places home again, it's just an ingredient for doom smelling in the future. And it's really, really sad. It's a really, really sad one. It's something that the government of the day needs to do more about, and Nigerians as a whole needs to speak up more. That is not affecting you does not mean it cannot affect you someday. One way or the other. It could just be somebody coming out of that place who just comes to knock on your window, both puts a gun on your head and you down, because he wants to pick maybe a tiny little thing from your car, as tiny as your phone. It trickles down. There's always a ripple effect to everything. That is not affecting you directly doesn't mean it will not affect you indirectly.
True.
It's some of those people who go to vandalize the places which you feel that, oh, there's no more electricity. It's because the person doesn't have an opportunity. He decides to vandalize. Now it's affecting you too. So one way or the other, what is affecting our brothers in the north, in the east, in the south, is one way going to affect us right here in the west. The same way, what is affecting us in the west, if not being talked about in the south, in the north, in the east, will one day somehow affect them down there too. There's no escaping it. We forget that we are geographically we are one. And so even if you think we are not in your own tiny space or in your own tiny head with your actions that you do, geographically we are one. There's nothing in your mind that can change that. And so what affects me affects you, and what affects you affects me. It is what it is. So it's best we just come together, understand the role that we are supposed to play, and play it well. That's all that we have to do. Underneath the huge picture here, you see Natasha coming back to Ihimi. Rousing welcome. Chopper coming, people screaming. And you ask, who are the constituents that signed? If these ones are in their numbers are outside. Okay. Kogi Central stands still for Akpoti Uduaha. So you find nobody can stop me. That's according to the lawmaker. She has no respect for rule of law. That's according to the Kogi government. Well, we also heard that there was a ban on rallies yesterday. Even in the Ihimi local government, the local government chairman put a curfew. And so, but the people didn't care. Natasha didn't care. And, well, and it still went on. What went on, went on. So underneath that one, we see this one, Liberation Day. Nigeria's 4.59 trillion naira exports to US under threat. You find that story on page 26 as Trump announces new tariffs today. Yeah, everyone is expecting it. The UK is expecting it, and the UK, according to Bandenok, has said if Trump gives new tariffs, the UK Prime Minister should also make sure it hits the US with new tariff. Tariff for tariff, it is what it is.
I heard
band for band, over for over.
I heard of that, and yeah, this was the same thing to that. People were also saying in the comment section that if that's going to be the case, then definitely other countries are definitely
band for band. Nobody should
retaliate.
Nobody should wait. As they hot, as they hot. What you can do, I can do. It's stop. Trump sometimes
wild.
make it. Yeah, I feel him. Yeah, make America great again. I feel him. I enjoy that. I enjoy what he's doing. No doubt about it. He's up for America first. Puts Nigeria first too. It gives us new tariff. Give them new tariff too. It's not hard. They want to make money. We want to make money. Peace will reign. Everybody will enjoy themselves. It's not that difficult. Or else you find yourself in a country without no voice, without no power. Then that's a different case. And Nigeria shouldn't be like that. We should represent as a giant of Africa. We should own things. We need to start acting like the lion that we are. I don't get it. We shouldn't be big fish in small ponds. We should be big fish in big ponds. Going for big fishes. We should be challenging countries like that. But this is where we are.
For now.
For now, I like that. For now. Ekiti Airport will run 24-hour flight operations. That's according to Governor Yebanji. You find that one on page 10. We see this one. Above the nameplate, Ponzi scheme operators risk 10-year jail term, 20 million naira fine, SEC ones. Page 19 is where you find that story. Governor Sani reads riot act to monarchs over land grabbing. That story you find on page 13. Killings, kidnapping, angry residents shot major roads in Otukpo. Page 7 is where you find that story. That's in Benue State, in case you do not know where Otukpo is. And finally, on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, Edo governor pool dispute, anxiety as tribunal gives judgment today. That story is on page 9. And now let me say what's finally, sorry about that, the sports corner of the Vanguard newspaper this morning, and it says, I will convince Nwaneri to play for Super Eagles. That's according to Chale. Nwaneri, who happens to be on Arsenal under 21 Arsenal star, he plays for this Arsenal team, the first team of Arsenal. He even started yesterday, but also happens to play for the under 21 of England, and I guess is also hoping to someday play for the national team of England. But if he can be convinced to come play for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, it will be huge, as I don't think we have anybody currently on that flank better than him. Chukwueze. Anyways, that I don't know what that guy is doing, but it will be a good one if we get players like this to come. But I'm up for checking ward. We have players in the Nigerian Premier Football League. They are good players in the Nigerian Premier Football League. Check-in ward. I think most of the time these players coming from out there sometimes think they are doing us a favor, playing for us. That's my personal opinion. And it's African football. If you can handle with the people, where you can, in Nigeria, where you can have more time for them to train yourselves, get together, play more. Yes, you can bring some foreign-based players, but let them be top-notch foreign-based players that will deliver 100%. Place them in critical aspects in that team. We'll become a better team. I think Nigeria should start thinking better of building from the home-based. Yes, we have good players playing foreign-based too, but are all of them that good? If they are that good, we won't be where we are at the World Cup qualifications now. It's because they are not really all that good. Mix them up, spice them up with the local based players. 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, mix them up. Let those ones, because when you try to give Nigerian based players an opportunity for the shirt, those people will play their life out. Because most of them do not even have hopes of ever making the Super Eagles. Because the way Nigeria is, everybody will always look outside. Those ones outside. Give these people a chance. I'm 100% sure they will do way better than what is being done right now. Way better than. They will fight more. They will give more. And who knows? Probably would have be in top spot trying to qualify to the World Cup right now.
What do you think is not allowing? I don't want to use the word hindering.
Well, the Nigerian system.
How?
Okay, you ask me that.
No, I understand, but like these are people that are in. So
we've heard rumors, so many rumors that even you don't want me to go into all of this. We've heard rumors that even to call players, sometimes you have to go through some sort of scrutiny, that the coaches do not have all of the liberty to do the kind of players. We've even heard rumors that people pay to get into teams. So many things. Wow. So that is why I put it into the Nigerian system. So since you know how the Nigerian system is,
I just felt like since I
football,
know that it's everywhere.
You understand the Nigerian system, yes?
But for sports, especially when you know that you are trying to.
And I tell you, for sports, it's almost worse. Look at the Nigerian Premier League.
It shouldn't be that. I see a lot of people that are always playing.
Okay, look at other sports. How many other sports can you talk about in Nigeria aside football?
I know they're there, but they're just very.
Are they really there?
They're not really.
What is wrong with our football is the Nigerian system, and what is that? Poor leadership. That's all I can say.
Okay.
Anyways, that's how we call it an end to today's edition of the newspaper review right here on our Impact Radio 102.1 FM. I want to say a very big thank you to everyone who opened their ears to listen to us this morning. Thank you so much. We will be back again tomorrow, and we hope you will be here with us tomorrow as well. Until then, my name is Uche Okori. Have a beautiful Wednesday.
Exactly, and Wednesday is starting off with me and you till 12. Just stay put because we have music, lots of fun just coming your ways. It's Walkover Wednesday. We're just going to be looking at how the week has been and what we should be looking forward to before the weekend. My name is Toluwashe Akiwome. Do have a lovely morning ahead.